Hello, third graders, and welcome back to Math Meets Literacy. I am Mrs. Crawley. Before we begin today's lesson, I want to shout out a few awesome third graders. Isla, Ellie, Benjamin, Jalen, and Jakila, you all did a fantastic job with last week's focus question. If you didn't get a chance to share your focus question on our third grade Flipgrid, share your thinking this week. Today, you will need the lesson handout, something to write with, crayons or colored pencils. Remember, if you cannot get the lesson handout, that's okay. Use a piece of paper and work with me. What will you be able to do after completing today's Math Meets Literacy lesson? You will be able to collect, organize, represent, read, and interpret data in pictographs and bar graphs. What do we need? We need a focus for our learning. Today's focus question: how can you collect, organize, and analyze data in a pictograph and bar graph? Remember to have today's focus question in the front of your mind. It will help lead your learning. Today's Math Meets Literacy story is Family Reunion. Gary, the main character, does not want to attend another family reunion. He tells his mother he has math homework to complete. His mom says, bring it with you. Let's see how Gary completes his math homework at the family reunion. Family Reunion by Bonnie Batter, illustrated by Myrnie Gallagher Cole. Time to get up, my mom called. I looked at the clock. It read 7 o'clock. There must be some mistake, I thought. It was Saturday morning. I had no school today. Come on, Gary, my mom said. I turned over. I pulled the pillow over my head. Get out of bed now. She sounded serious. I pulled the pillow off my face. I opened one eye. Why so early? I whispered. Don't you remember? My mom said. Today's our family reunion. I muttered. I pulled the covers over my head. Let's go, my mom said. She pulled the covers off my head. We're leaving in half an hour. I knew I had to think fast. There was no way I was going to suffer through another graph family reunion. I have to stay home and clean out my closet, I said. Nice try, my mom said with a smile. I cleaned out your closet last week. I have to stay at home and do laundry, I said. Mom shook her head. She held out a clean pair of shorts and a t-shirt for me to wear. I have to stay home and do my math homework, I said. Mom was quiet. It looked like she was thinking about it. Maybe that excuse would work. You can bring your math homework with you, my mom told me. I'm sure Aunt Molly will have a table you can use to work on. Rats. I guess I had no choice but to go. After a very long car ride, we finally arrived at Aunt Molly Graff's house. Most of the Graff family was already there. Oh, look how much you have grown, Aunt Molly said as she gave my right cheek a big pinch. Oh, you look just like your father, Aunt Sadie said as she gave my left cheek an even bigger pinch. Oh no, I think you look just like your mother, Aunt Jenny said. I ducked before she could find something else to pinch. There was no way I was going to stand around getting pinched all day. Mom, I said, homework time. She gave me a nod. I made my move. I went inside to find an empty room. Uncle Stanley was sleeping in the family room. Too noisy. My cousins were playing dolls in the living room. Little Allie was getting her diaper changed in the bedroom. Too stinky. I went outside again. Maybe I could find a tree to sit under. Yes, I found a tree. There was shade, and there was no one around. I sat down and pulled out my math book. I had to make at least 3 different graphs: a bar graph, a line graph, a pie graph. What in the world was I going to graph? I lay back on the grass to think. Just then I heard voices. It sounded like Aunt Molly and Aunt Sadie were having an argument. I opened one eye to spy. It's going to be at least 100 degrees today, Aunt Molly said. All my food will spoil. Oh, Molly, you always worry. I don't think we'll break 90 degrees today, Aunt Sadie said. 90 will be just as bad, Aunt Molly shouted. Look at the time. It's only 11 o'clock, and it's already 88 degrees. By noon, it'll be 92 for sure. And with that, Aunt Molly stormed away. I bolted up. I had just gotten an idea for my first graph. I would chart the temperature and the time. I got to work. I had just started plotting my graph when Aunt Sadie spotted me. Gary, she cried, why are you sitting there all by yourself? Go join the rest of the family. But I began. No buts, Aunt Sadie said. This is a party. Now go join the fun. Shoo shoo. I got going. I didn't get very far before Aunt Molly caught me. She did not look happy. Gary, she said, it's time to eat. I looked at my watch. It was not lunchtime. But it's too early for lunch, I said. Well, we all have to start eating now, Aunt Molly said. It's going to be a hot one today, and I don't want my food to spoil. I did not want to argue with her. Then she grabbed me. Oh no, I thought, here comes another pinch. Instead of a pinch, Aunt Molly just put me close and whispered in my ear, be sure to try some of my homemade potato salad. It's better than Aunt Sadie's coleslaw. She bought it at the store. I wasn't hungry, but I had another idea. When no one was looking, I slipped under the salad table, pulled out some paper and some sharpened pencils. I waited and I watched. 5 aunts took the potato salad. So did my mom. 6 cousins took the macaroni salad. So did 3 uncles and my dad. And 2 aunts, 4 cousins, and 8 uncles piled their plates with coleslaw. My grandma and grandpa took some too. I waited a while longer, but there were no more takers. My bar graph was done. The coleslaw was the clear favorite. I would make sure not to tell Aunt Molly. My stomach started to growl. I looked at my watch. It was 1 o'clock. My stomach would have to wait. I raced over to the thermometer. I read 93 degrees. I marked the temperature on my graph. I walked over to the food tables. I piled my plate high. I picked up a knife and fork, but there weren't any napkins. I looked around at my family. Few people had napkins, but most didn't. I got another idea for a graph. I quickly ate my lunch, then I started to walk around with my notebook. I counted 10 people using napkins. I counted 13 people using their sleeves, and I counted 22 people using the back of their hands. Yuck. But at least another graph was done. As I looked around for something else to do, a girl came up to me. She had red hair and blue eyes. Hi, she said, I'm Becky. I think we're related. Of course we are, I told her. That's why we're all here. Do you want to play? Becky asked me. I looked at my watch. It was 2 o'clock. Sorry, I told her. I have things to do. I walked over to the thermometer. It read 95 degrees. I made a mark on my graph. When I was done, I looked up. Becky was standing there. A boy was standing next to her. He looked just like her. Same hair, same eyes, same height. This is my brother Bobby, Becky told me. We're twins. I can see that, I said. Want to play? Bobby asked. Sorry, I said. I have work to do. I started to walk away. Becky and Bobby followed me. What kind of work? Becky wanted to know. I told them about my math homework. I thought they would be bored by it and leave me alone. I was wrong. Cool, said Becky. We love math, said Bobby. Can we help? This reunion is pretty boring. I guess I said, but only if you can think of something to graph. How about hair color? Becky asked. I think there are more redheads here than anything else. I thought a minute. Then I handed Becky and Bobby some paper. Okay, I said. Becky, you count the people with red hair. Bobby, you do brown. I'll do blonde and other. other? Becky and Bobby said together. You'll see, I said with a smile. Now, shoo, shoo. Yikes. I was starting to sound like Aunt Sadie. We met up a little later. Bobby had counted people with brown hair. Becky had counted people with red hair. And I had counted people with blonde hair and people with no hair. Oh, so that was the other, Bobby said. I thought the other was going to be gray hair, Becky said. I looked around. There were no people with gray hair. That's strange, I said. There are some old people here, but no one has gray hair. You're right, Bobby said. Maybe if we get up real close to them, we can find out their real hair colors, Becky suggested. Just then, two more kids walked up to us. Hi, I'm Sally, and this is my brother Sammy. What are you guys doing? I filled them in on my math project. Cool, said Sally. Super cool, said Sammy. Cool. That reminded me, I had to check the temperature. I excused myself and made another mark on my graph. As I was heading back, my cousins were nowhere in sight. I looked around. Bobby was giving Aunt Jenny a kiss. Becky was giving Aunt Sadie a hug. Sally was sitting on Uncle Max's lap, and Sammy was letting Aunt Molly give him a pinch. We now had 4 gray-haired people. I fixed my data. My graphs were done. Time to go home, Gary, my mom called. So soon? I asked. My mom gave me a strange look. You mean you had fun? She asked. I smiled. I said goodbye to my cousins. We made plans to see one another soon. This family reunion wasn't so bad after all. Plus, I got my math homework done. I hope you enjoyed Family Reunion. Gary was able to collect a lot of data and graph that data. He graphed the weather, everyone's favorite salad. My favorite was how he included his cousins in the hair color graphing. They all made tally marks about the family's hair color. They took the data from the tally chart and created another graph, which was so cool. And in the end, Gary did have a lot of fun with graphing and his family reunion. Let's review some vocabulary. Bar graph. A bar graph uses bars to compare information. Has a title, has a scale that shows the units used, and the y-axis and x-axis are labeled. So here, if we look at our graph here that Mrs. Crawley created, soccer goals scored by players at the family reunion. If I look at my scale, I decided that I wanted my scale to go by ones. I didn't want to go by twos or threes. I wanted to use ones because the highest goal scored was 9. So I didn't need to go any higher than 10. And I decided that using ones would be better. I also labeled my y-axis with the number of goals, and my x-axis is where I put the family member who scored the goals. So now we know who scored and how many goals they scored. Now when we look at a pictograph, a pictograph uses pictures or symbols to show data. It also has a title, and it has a key to explain what each picture represents. In a pictograph, the key is important. Here with the family's favorite cookies, we see that each pair of cookies equals 2 votes, and each single cookie represents 1 vote. I need to know that to be able to interpret the data on the pictograph. So let's solve it. Here we have our favorite cookies. And I created the family, well, Gary created a pictograph to chart the family's favorite cookies at the family reunion. What does each pair of cookies stand for? What does each single cookie stand for? Which cookie is the family favorite? What else can Gary learn by looking at the graph? So now we are going to go to our lesson handout. If you do not have today's lesson handout, that is okay. You can work with Mrs. Crawley. So I would like you to here pause the video and complete the questions for the favorite cookie pictograph. Once you've completed that, continue the video. Okay, welcome back. Let's look at our first question. What does each pair of cookies stand for? This is where I'm going to go back to my key, and I'm actually going to highlight my key. I'm going to use purple, which is my all-time favorite, because it's going to help me focus in on it. Well, I see that each pair of cookies represents 2 votes. Oh, okay, so I'm going to write here 2 votes. Did you write 2 votes? Our next question, what does each single cookie stand for? Well, I'm going to head back to my key, and here I see that each single cookie represents 1 vote. Did you also write 1 vote? Our third question, which cookie is the family's favorite cookie? Let's go up here. Well, peanut butter. Let's count how many votes peanut butter received. I know that the pair of cookies represents 2, so I'm going to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, but I see a single cookie. Oh, so I add 1. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Peanut butter received 9. If you didn't write 9, you can do it now. Oatmeal raisin, let's count by 2s again. 2, 4, and then count by 1, 5. Oatmeal raisin received 5. Chocolate chip, 2, 4, 6, 7. Chocolate chip received 7 votes, and Snickerdoodles received 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 votes. So now I'm looking at my graph, and I realized that Snickerdoodles received the most votes. Gary's family enjoys Snickerdoodles the most. See, now what else can what can he learn by looking at the graph? We know what a pair of cookies represents. We know what the single cookie represents. We know what the family favorite is. Oh, Gary can also figure out what is the family's least favorite. And the family's least favorite is oatmeal raisin. So we can say that. What else can Gary learn by looking at the graph? He can learn the family's least favorite cookie. Let's solve it. So here we see Gary created a bar graph for soccer goals scored by players at the family reunion. He made sure to create a scale where he's counting by 1s. He labeled his y-axis number of goals, and he labeled his x-axis name of family member. Now, as Gary looks at his bar graph, can he explain how to find how many more goals Cousin Sammy scored than Mom? Who scored 2 goals? And how many goals in all did Gary and Aunt Jenny score? Let's go back to our lesson handout. So our first question is, who scored 2 goals? What I would like you to do, I'd like you to pause the video right here and complete the questions for the bar graph. Once you've completed them, return to the video. Welcome back. Let's see, what did you get for answer number 2? Who scored 2 goals? Well, here I'm going to go to my bar graph. Here's my 2. So I'm going to start at 2, and I'm going to take my cursor and go across and see that, oh, Aunt Jenny's bar stops at the number 2. So Aunt Jenny scored 2 goals. And I want to double check to make sure there are no other family members who scored 2 goals. It looks like if I compare them, it looks like everyone scored more than 2 goals. So Aunt Jenny is the only family member who scored 2. Did you get Aunt Jenny for your answer? How many goals in all did Gary and Aunt Jenny score? In all? So I know that I'm gonna have to do some adding because I have to take Gary's goals and Aunt Jenny's goals and put them together to figure out how many they scored as a pair. So here I go. I'm looking at Gary's bar and I see that Gary scored 4 goals. And we know from the first question that Aunt Jenny scored 2. So I'm gonna add 4 goals to Aunt Jenny's 2 goals. And they scored 6 goals in all. Did you do that? Maybe you came up with another way. As long as you can explain your thinking, you did a great job. I'm gonna write 6 goals in all. And our last question, this is where we really had to do some thinking. Explain to find how many more goals cousin Sammy scored than mom. So I know I'm gonna be doing some comparing. So I'm gonna compare mom's bar to cousin Sammy's bar. Let's see. Well, cousin Sammy, as I look, cousin Sammy, if I look at his bar and go across, cousin Sammy scored 9 goals. And mom scored, if we go up, mom scored 7 goals. So we compared the 2 goals, and Alex scored 9, mom scored 7. I know that 9 is 2 more than 7. And I'm going to check my math just to make sure. And I can do that by subtracting 7 from 9, and that's 2. Oh, okay, so yes, Sammy scored 2 more goals than mom. Did you get that? And maybe you came up with a different way to do it. As long as you can explain your thinking and it makes sense to you and you have the answer, you've done a great job. Let's write our answer here. I'm going to say 9 is 2 more than 7. Or 9 equals 2. Great job. All right. Now, extend our thinking. You've done a lot of work. You've added new tools to your graphing toolbox. I know you can do this. Let's extend our thinking. And here we have a tally chart that is all about the family reunion games that Gary and his cousins like to play. Let's go back to the lesson handout. And just like Gary and his cousins did with the hair color, you are going to take the data from the tally chart and create a pictograph and a bar graph. There's some things that you need to remember, okay? Remember to add a title for both. Do not forget the key for your pictograph. very important. And don't forget the scale for your bar graph, and remember to label the y-axis and the x-axis. You are going to respond to this question on our 3rd grade Flipgrid. You can pull up our Flipgrid using the QR code here or the link, or you can go to the RPS at Home 3rd grade lesson plan page, week 9. I've enjoyed my time with you, and I will see you next week.